Welcome to Wear Your Cape to Work, a podcast hosted by Project Insight. We believe that project and program managers are the real superheroes of every organization. We want you to hear their stories so you can be inspired to wear your own cape to work. Today, we're joined by René Clayton, an AI strategist, PMP, author, and transformation leader with over 20 years in financial services, IT, and emerging tech. As founder and chief strategy officer of Byte Strategy, René helps small businesses and fintechs bridge the gap between project management and artificial intelligence. She has a 4-year certificate in AI from MIT and has been working with automation, natural language processing, and robotic process automation since 2016. She brings a unique lens on how project managers can lead in an AI-driven world. We'll explore her journey from earning her PMP to now shaping AI strategy in organizations, and then we'll dive into some of her superpower advice about artificial intelligence in project management. Thank you so much for joining us today, René.
I'm honored to be here, so thank you so much to you and your team for inviting me to be on your podcast.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you even got started as a project manager in the first place?
Definitely. That's such a funny story. So I have 30 years background in IT, and about 2007, I was in a meeting, and at the end of the table, so we're in the regular IT meeting, and at the end of the table, there was this man, and we only had one of him, and I didn't know what he did, but I started noticing he kept coming to all of our meetings, and he was taking notes, and he was doing things. And again, I was just like a real tech heads down girl at the time. And I found out later that he was an IT project manager. And I'm not going to say who it was, but I was like, you know what? I could do that. And I actually think I could do it way better. So I found out what is a project manager. So I didn't know what they were prior to that. I never had worked with one. I didn't have one. But then this particular person, was our one IT project manager in the group. And so I started studying for the PMP. So that was 2007. I highly recommend everyone to get their PMP. And I'm going to keep it until I'm 100. It was the hardest test ever. But anyway, so going back to your original question, so I took the test, ended up taking it in 2013 and got certified. But I got hired in as a IT program manager, senior program manager as my first role as a project manager. And then I became a Scrum Master, and that is really how I started my journey. I'm a really good at planner, and I'm really good at making things execute.
Is that why you thought you could do it better than the man at the head of the table or wherever he sat in that room, because you knew you were a planner, naturally making things execute, like you said?
Yes. I mean, I've been working since I was 14. And when I was 18, I was an event planner and a bridal coordinator. And if you have ever worked with a bride, you have to make sure that everything is covered. And so I think that was probably the beginning of my project manager journey that I didn't even know about.
It is funny. We've had other guests on the show who have discovered themselves and thought, where is the job that covers these strengths that I have? One of our guests in an episode that's launching in a couple weeks, she knew even as a little girl that she loved planning. She used to take such joy and delight of checking off boxes, like crossing things out that she had accomplished.
In my career, one of the things that has been really consistent is that I've always taken roles that I did not know how to do it, or I didn't even hear of it before. And I had to look it up on the internet and then figure it out later. I just love the fact of just commit and then figure it out. Commit and figure it out. I just love that motto.
Do you think project managers kind of do that on the daily? I mean, every project manager.
Yes. I mean, you might, when I became that IT programs manager, I thought I was going to go on this one project I had asked for because I knew it. I was the subject matter expert.
Oh, yeah.
My first day on the job, they changed it and they put me on a completely different project that I've never heard of and I didn't know anything about. And I just glued myself to one of the SMEs on that project. And I think that's what I would recommend to any project manager is if you get on a new project or you get in a project that is like in the red or something you don't know anything about, go find the subject matter expert, glue yourself to that person, buy them lunch, whatever it takes, and just learn as fast as you can.
That's really good advice, Matt. You've got something.
Yeah, no, I was just going to ask, what were some of the exciting projects you were working on either as that role or as you continued your career as a project manager?
Sure. Yeah, that was actually one of my favorite projects, which I was surprised at. We were just converting about 800 credit unions from one platform to another. So that was a great project because we were running it in an agile way. We were in person. We sat together in an agile, table, and we worked with offshore teams and had daily stand-ups, and that was just really amazing. And we named our project. It was called Mount Everest. We had base camp. It was
for the phases. Is that what it is? Base camp was a phase, or is that where you're all?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, exactly. And it was just so much fun. And I'm really good friends with those people that I worked with on that particular project. And we turned a project from red to green pretty quickly. And it was really useful and profitable for the company that I was working for at the time.
So for those listeners who aren't project managers yet or aren't at all, what does it mean to turn a project from red to green? It kind of makes sense, stop to go, but maybe you can explore just a little bit so that people understand.
Sure, that's a good question. So thanks, Trina. So a project's green if you are on time and on budget and you're, all your deliverables, so the list of things you need to do are all in perfect alignment. If there's a little bit of a hiccup or a problem or that you have a roadblock, it'll go into yellow. If that is not corrected, you will go into red. And I think that project managers and program managers and portfolio managers often are afraid of red, or they think they're going to get lynched or something if they do that, because they're with their stakeholders, that their stakeholders are like, no, don't put it in red. No, it's okay. It's okay to put it in red, because if you put it in red, it just means, look, I need help. Let's all rally together and let's find out the solution and let's figure out what we need to get this back to green. And that's all. It's just a matter of, do you realign things? Do you fix it? Do you need more money? Do you need more time? Do you need more resources? What do you need to make it? And so it's okay to go to red. My preference is green, of course, but I think a lot of project managers, depending on what company you work for and their culture, are often afraid of that. And I think, I would just say don't be intimidated by changing the color. As a PMI project manager, a PMP certified project manager, we are ethically bound to tell the truth at all times.
And I think that's interesting, for those who don't realize what you're saying that the project manager sits at the helm of this project and has to make a decision based on all of the project data across the tasks that are happening and say, is this red, yellow, or green? Now, sometimes that happens automatically in a project management platform, like ours. Project Insight can automatically tell you what it thinks your project status should be, or your project health, or the risks. But the project manager ultimately can say, oh, well, that's just a software program. It doesn't realize this, or it doesn't realize that. And you have to make an astute decision about the health and well-being of that project. And so you're saying that turning it red or changing it to red is really an acknowledgement, an honest, transparent acknowledgement of, hey, you know what? We didn't expect to be in this position, but we need different resources, or we need some other element to make this successful. And it's raising your hand early so that you can actually take those actions to make it green faster than maybe just floundering.
Exactly. It's just a matter of being transparent, ethical, and getting help that you need.
It also makes that range of colors actually meaningful, right? If everything that is yellow is really red and everything that's yellow is still green, it does create that transparency through and through. So
yeah, like you were saying, keeping it yellow, like let's just stay in yellow. It's really very orange, but it's not quite red. Right. We don't want someone to be upset. Yeah, that's interesting. So you got your first job, which was a very senior role. It was even titled senior. I'm now the senior program manager in this agile organization. And that was at a credit union situation. Is that right?
No, it was actually at a company, a processing company for credit. We worked with credit unions who are our clients across the nation.
Go ahead.
You were moving from one platform to another as far as how they're doing transactions? Is that kind of the idea?
They're online banking.
They're banking. Okay. Yeah.
They're online banking for credit cards.
So basically, you're leading the program that's going to help them offer online banking for their customers.
With their credit cards.
Yes. With the credit
cards. Oh my goodness. That's a lot. And
so the end user is critical, right? If they can't access their card and they're traveling, or we're not sending out the statements on time, which is there was a lot of regulatory, there was a lot of governance, there was a lot of security that we had to really cover and really work closely with a lot of our other teams and our stakeholders. So we had to work, we wanted to work with our stakeholders, which are our product teams, our IT teams, our information security teams, and then our offshore developers. So we had a lot of offshore developers as well, and our quality assurance teams.
So audience, as you're next time making your online banking transaction, think of the program manager sitting behind that project that's making the website, the actual transaction itself, the regulations that René is talking about, those statements coming to you on the regular cadence that you can actually check your balance, that you can, don't you love doing like digital check deposit? I love that so much.
Oh, yes. I love that too. I know. Yes. And a lot of people don't use checks anymore, but I still do with, we're in the horse world too. And we do a lot of checks with horses.
So what led you from this program management role? Well, maybe you didn't leave it. You started having this awakening of artificial intelligence, which some of us are only having like this morning. And you had it years ago, not just 4 years ago, lots of years ago. What sparked that in you? How did you become aware that artificial intelligence was coming into this picture? And what were your passions about it at the time? How did you start pursuing it?
Excellent question. So I went from IT, and then I was, based on my project management skills and my program management skills, I was actually handpicked to move over to product and go on to the innovation team, where we were working on emerging technologies. And at the time, I had an amazing leader that had really a phenomenal vision. And she identified some core pillars of what we were going to focus on that year, which was the blockchain, enterprise authentication, and artificial intelligence. And so of the team, I chose the artificial intelligence route. I started looking into it and going to conferences. And I said, we can't start with AI, by artificial intelligence, which, by the way, now I refer to it as augmented intelligence, is really what I prefer to refer to it as. But I realized that as an organization, that's not where we could start. So I started talking with different people in the company, and we started with automation. So RPA, which is robotic process automation. And I teamed up with the people that were looking into that. And then we did that project together first. And the same time in tandem, we started working early on. And so this was almost a decade ago, so maybe 9.5 years. We, at the time, were looking at natural language processing, machine learning, more that overarching AI. So AI, like here, and generative AI that came out in November of 2022. Mm-hmm. November 30th. That's what people think AI is. AI is 70 years old. So I just got super interested, and I met some of the most brilliant people of my life. And I was the AI strategist for several years, focusing on building the AI strategy for the company and also doing minimal viable projects. So we did chatbots in a couple of languages. We worked on Internet of Things, which is IoT, like skills for Alexa and skills for Google. We also entered a contest with Amazon payments, and our company at the time won number one in the United States for how to talk to mom, or how to tell your mom about AI or something like that. I have to look it up, but it was such a fun project, and we, used the tools we had at the time, which in a really they're no longer because they transformed, but we were able to use their technology and get it to the next level. And at the time, it was that particular technology is what we have today, which is I consider it like a messy conversation. So for instance, have you all had, Matthew and Trina, have you all had conversations with your Siri or your Google or your Alexa? And if you didn't say, hey, Google or Alexa or Siri properly, they won't even respond, right? And then you might ask them a question and they're like, I don't know. Right? I don't know anything.
Yes.
So because they're not programmed, you have to actually, I worked with some interns for a whole summer, and we built Alexa skills and Google skills, and then decided which one was easier or harder, or what were the different challenges. That was a really fun project. What we do today, so if you go into ChatGPT or Perplexity or Gemini or Claude or GenSpark or Manus, you're just talking, right? You're like, okay, I have this project. I need to do a SWOT analysis. And oh, by the way, there's 17 people on the team. Can you help me? That was never possible before in the past. Now it is with generative AI, which is generative just means it continually changes. It's always going to give you kind of a different answer, which you have to check, by the way. So I'll leave it there for now, but that's kind of how I got into it. And even once I moved on to working with more fintechs and the blockchain and some other projects with fraud and compliance, I personally, in my personal life, stayed in touch with the AI community, and I was in a lot of different forums and stayed plugged in and continued to learn. And I started using the original OpenAI ChatGPT in 2021.
René, we are all really starting to just touch the tip of the iceberg with this AI topic, but you have been exploring it for such a long time. I mean, so much longer than all of us probably listening in the audience. What kinds of things really amaze you today about AI, and what's possible that you know about that many of us haven't even thought about yet?
So that's such a great question. And what we're finding is that even if doesn't matter what you knew yesterday, AI has changed so much that currently we could do things like I can create a likeness of myself, and I make a digital twin with my voice. And I would say that most people wouldn't be able to tell. Now, the people in my industry would, but I mean, can even send you an example. It's phenomenal. I'm doing this with projects I'm working on today because they want to create training videos for onboarding their new project managers, onboarding their new business analysts, and their quality assurance agents that are offshore. So it's just a great way of being able to use the latest technology. And even OpenAI, ChatGPT just dropped a new version where it's like it's an operator, but it's now, instead of the $200 version, you can use it at the $20 version. and is a true super agent. It will go in and it will do things on your behalf that you've allowed it to do, right? So it can connect to different systems. Now, again, we all have to be cautious of our proprietary data and our PII data and security. But if it's something simple and basic, like just basic note taking and whatnot, you can have all of that streamlined so that you can focus on your critical thinking skills, your strategy management, your humanness, and what you uniquely bring to the table as far as strategy. But I am working with another client actually who is a filmmaker, and he knew that industry was going away. So he reinvented himself. And he is now 4 different applications combined, which is often what a lot of us do in this world, in the AI space. He has created these amazing videos for his clients that are commercials. And he's combining different applications to do that. And the quality is undeniable with the video and the sound together.
So he's using AI to make the videos, and you are using agents. When you started talking about agents, I was like, what is she going to say that she does with those in project management? And now I see you're talking about the training videos. So this frees you up. Can you tell us a little bit of how that works? Do you have like documentation that your twin reads and teaches, or how does that go?
It's really fascinating. So I've actually used another application since 2018 called Synthesia, and it does the same thing. It just used to not do it as well. So you would have like a basic avatar. You would have a basic avatar, maybe with a basic generic voice, and then you just upload the script.
I see.
So we've been using that technology for years. Well, now though, I've been able to clone myself and my voice 100% pretty much. It trains the model. The application I personally use, and I don't know if you need to know this, but it's HeyGen. It's fantastic. You can
Let's know what they are. Yeah, HeyGen.
I'll tell you all the secrets.
Yeah,
so HeyGen,
spell it. What is it?
HeyGen.
H?
It's like HeyGen.
Nice.
J-T and like a generation.
Gotcha.
HeyGen. And then I connected through an API to my 11 Labs cloned voice. So I've uploaded 5 hours of my voice. It's trained on my voice. You have to do some tweaking, and then it gives you the right tone and pitch and everything. So now moving forward, I can, in the app of HeyGen, I can change my clothes, my setting, I can be sitting on a couch, I can be sitting up, I can be doing a presentation. I never have to record myself or put makeup on ever again. I can just use that voice and then all the different looks that and my client, so I have a large clientele now that want that for themselves, so they don't have to re-record all their YouTube videos, and they can do YouTube shorts, and they can work on their projects and do onboarding videos for their new employees or their new project managers. And, it's more of the smaller companies that are utilizing this now. And like in America, a lot of companies, I don't think have utilized this to the degree that we are, because we can do it quicker, faster, cheaper. But it saves so much money. So my friend, like I said, that's in the film industry, that's doing it for his clients, it's absolutely breathtaking too. And then now, like with Google Gemini VO3, it creates videos with sound. Google Studio is available for almost anybody who has like a Gmail account. Notebook LM is another really quality AI that is just updated, and you can take all your project documents and upload it into Google Gemini Notebook LM, and then you can talk to your documents, and it's in a rack system. So what it does is it keeps it all contained. So not to get too wordy, but it keeps it really contained, and then you can say, hey, how is the status of my project based on what I've uploaded? So you can upload all your project documents, and then you can talk to your data. And it'll even create a podcast for you.
Are there any other kind of things that you think would help prepare the project management, field for all of these changes in AI? Other than adoption, right?
Well, adoption, getting your hands dirty, playing with it for fun first, right? And just doing small things. So I've been doing a lot of research on project management in the future. So where are we going to be in 2030? The numbers are fantastic. So if you're a project manager in 2025 and you adopt AI now and you learn it on your own on the side, just looking at recipes, doing whatever, play with the technology, do your own SWOT analysis for your family, then you are going to be able to translate that into your project management, your profile and what you know how to do. And you're going to have that in your toolkit. So every project manager out there, I cannot stress enough that I want you to future proof your job. I want you to be able to be there as the go-to person, the one that knows the AI, the one that's comfortable with it. And as soon as people start using it, they get comfortable, they're not intimidated anymore. The numbers are outstanding. I mean, they're seeing that it's exponentially growing by over 33% a year. If you know AI and project management combined, you will never be out of a job.
I love that.
Yeah, which is a breath of, a sigh of relief for a lot of PMs because, often you are more on the forefront of how can I improve efficiencies? How can I do that? So, lean into that and keep that 33% availability for yourself, right? I love that. That's great.
You rattled off just a moment ago a lot of different AI models. Do you have a favorite, one? And two, can you tell the audience where to start in getting to know some of these particular AI models and how to, maybe focus that journey?
What I'm going to share with you right now can go with any large language model. So OpenAI's ChatGPT 4.1 is one of my favorites right now. So there's a lot of different models. If it has like a 4 ahead of it, it's a generative model. If it has a little O ahead of it, it's a reasoning model. So you do that more for deep research and coding and mathematical type things. So I really like ChatGPT. If you were just going to start with one in your life, start there. What I actually use more even is Gemini. So Google's Gemini has a bigger context window. You can use it for longer and not use up as many tokens. And we can go into that another day, but you can just do a lot with it. What can you do with it as a project manager? You can provide it information on your not PII. We're not talking about passwords or anything secret. We're talking about just general information on your project. And it can help you create SWOT analysis. It can help you create your notes from your meetings and clean them up. You can record, if they let you record your meetings, it can create the notes for you. It can help you create your project plan. It can help you, if you upload your project plan, it can tell you what you're missing, and you can ask it for, see the gaps. So I love ChatGPT. I love Google Gemini. Claude is really good for writing. And again, until probably last week, I didn't like Claude. It was too fluffy for my taste, but they have now Claude 4 is out, and it is actually brilliant. It has artifacts. And then
tell me what an artifact is. What does that mean?
So an artifact is like, how do I explain? It's like a little mini app. I should have probably tested that out a little bit before we talked on how to explain it. But it's a way that you can upload all kinds of information. YouTube videos. Let's just say I'm a content creator. YouTube videos, all kinds of information about the project, who I am, who they are, who the client is, all mission, vision, everything, up into this little mini app and artifact, or it would be called a custom GPT in Chat OpenAI. And then you can talk with the documents specifically. So it's in a contained system. And so that's really helpful for project managers. They can really analyze their project and they can get some high quality results, even without the PII data, like, so not without the, private confidential data. They can get a rough estimate of where will they potentially need another resource, or where would they need more hours, or maybe where they might need more money. And so if they also, for personal use, u.com, it's called u and then .com, you can actually pay the $20 a month and you can have access to all the models at one time.
Oh, wow.
You can have access to Claude, DeepSeek, Gwen 2.5, all of everything.
Matt, you were going to add something, I think, to that.
I just have a question. I love the artifacts in GPT, right? Because then you can make it a subject matter expert in what you're needing information off of, right? Or what you're wanting to query. Do you think that enterprise, you'd mentioned enterprise is often just using, the Microsoft product. Do you think that's out of prudence, or why do you think that that's the case?
Yes. So they can put more security around it. Now, if you have the Chat GPT OpenAI's Enterprise Edition, there's a lot of security you can put in place. Okay. So I think a lot of organizations don't know that, but they already own the Microsoft suite, right? They're all big organizations are already there. So it's just easy to add it on. And then their IT support team can put, like, say, Trina's allowed to access XYZ, Matthew's allowed to access, ABC. So that's why they're using that. And then it does help, like, you can search your teams for certain, like your team's chats for different kinds of technology, or information. It can take notes for you. It just depends on what level of access they give you. On the startups I'm working with and the smaller organizations, they're all using the ChatGPT Enterprise.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of fear within organizations, at least that I speak with, around, well, I don't want to give anything to it, right? Because then it's out and about where you're saying, no, you can lock it down, not only within the Microsoft world, but beyond with OpenAI as well. So
absolutely, and I'll add to that. You can turn off there in your if you go to your settings on any of them, you can turn off train the model. So you can turn that off. Another thing that's in ChatGPT, if you have the paid version, is it's actually called projects. So let's say I'm a project manager that's looking for a job. I'm just going to use this as a quality example because we talked about this in our recent project management meeting locally. And you could create a project for the different companies you were looking at. And you can upload your resume, the job description, their company values, your personality test, like your Myers-Briggs or your StrengthsFinder or whatever. And then you can have it help you look at your resume. It'll ingest in that box, like that project, and it'll just work there. And then you've even elevated the capabilities of it. And then you can have it help you write your cover letter, and then always be the human in the loop. Always check everything because it will sometimes hallucinate, or I call drift. So check all the resources, check your sources always, and always, edit to make it sound like you.
I like drift a lot more than hallucinate. Personally, I like that term. That's wonderful.
Although sometimes I've had a recent hallucination with ChatGPT, and I was like, "Are you on something?" Because that is not what we were talking about. René, one of the things that you mentioned was that everything doesn't need AI. Like, we think you should just throw everything in there. But can you explain a little bit of your feelings about that? You don't need AI for everything.
That's right. You don't. So when I go in and start speaking with clients, because I am running my own business right now, we'll look at their pain points and we'll see what are their challenges, or if you have stakeholders and within your company, do the same exact exercise, just like you would in a discovery session. Go in, find out what are the challenges, and then decide the solution. And AI does not have to be into everything, and it would be overkill. So you might need automation, you might just need a better process, or you might need AI. And So it's really important to understand what AI can do and could do for you, could or cannot. Or automation itself, just basic automation, is also very viable. And I do that all the time, as well as maybe it just needs a better process.
Yeah. So just a little to your particular consulting company now, Byte Strategy, you're going into these organizations and helping them discern, do you need a new workflow? Do you need automation? How can you incorporate AI? Just from a whole standpoint of how can we make your operations and functions more efficient across the whole company?
Exactly. Yes.
So René, you have a book, and I believe the title is How to Talk to Anybody Else About Anything.
It's about, actually I have it right here.
Oh, good.
It is How to Talk to Anyone with Ease, 21 Actionable Steps for Young Adults to Tackle Social Anxiety and Make Friends in the AI-Driven Digital Age. And I wrote this book really for my nieces who were in high school and college at the time, and after the pandemic, and they had to do virtual school. And then they just did, and they were in the middle of a new state, and they couldn't make friends, and it took them a long time, and so they lost that skill. And I think it's a critical milestone that we need. And then in the back, it has a bonus section on networking, which I think all project managers should be networking all the time.
Well, the reason I brought it up, and it's a wonderful topic and a wonderful reason to have written it, but one of the things you told me before is that if you can't talk to people, you can't talk to AI. And so your book is almost a precursor to this ability to be able to have a conversation with an AI bot or with, any sort of AI accessory. You need to be able to communicate yourself and listen and have a relational discussion that advances the conversation. So learning to talk to others, building your relationship skills is in some ways part of your focus on how to speak with AI and doing prompting and understanding what you can use there. Is that right?
It is. And I put a lot of emotional intelligence into that too, right? EI and AI go hand in hand.
Interesting.
And if you can't talk to people, you can't talk to AI. So it's really important. Like, think about this scenario. You brought in a new intern. They just started today. You can't just give them a project and say, go. You have to tell them who you are, what your company is, what the context is. So, act as a strategist, a project manager in this medical field. And we want to find quality data in a professional manner and give it a tone, give it as much context as you can, because the more information you provide, just like you would a human, then you're going to get much better answers. So I hear people, even last night I was at an event and someone said, oh, AI does not work. It's terrible. Maybe it's your prompting. So you need to ask the right question, and then you need to ask it again. You don't ever take the first response. Just like if you were having a back and forth conversation, if you and I were talking, you might say, I don't understand that. You need to be able to give the AI an option to respond to you, right? So I always put at the end, unless I'm working with a reasoning model, which just starts with the O, and you'll know if it's a reasoning model. I will always say, ask me any clarifying, pause before you answer.
Oh, interesting.
Let it pause. And then ask me any clarifying questions. And then 100% of the time it asks me questions, and then I get much better results.
Oh, that's interesting to actually have a dialogue about the clarifications before you're trying to throw it at it in a one-way street of information.
Yeah, I don't like the one-shot prompting. I like a relational conversation with my AIs.
Speaking of the relational conversations with AIs, it can go a little far. It seems like there's all sorts of movies out there where people are falling in love with their AIs and such. Did you see that coming in the entertainment world, that was going to be on the horizon?
I sure did, because I watched 2001 Odyssey and I watched Her.
Her, yeah.
And I watched Black Mirror. But I think that's another day conversation for another day.
Yes.
We all need to be ethical, cautious, have governance and guardrails about how we use AI, right? And that's critical for all of us in our personal and our professional lives, something that I'm very passionate about, especially with the compliance and governance piece of it and the ethical part. And so when I build my custom GPTs as an example, so that would be I'll build a skill for AI to do for me specifically. I have a whole security document that goes up into that GPT to make sure that it stays ethical and on track, because it can go sideways. And I just read a book that was a little interesting by Ethan Mollick and called Co-Intelligence.
I'll drop that into the chat notes. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to be cautious, right? Like, yes, it's very helpful. It's very productive. It helps you be productive. I think it just takes us, our humanness, our intelligence, and just adds flavor and creativity to it. Like, we still have to be there. We still have to be in the loop. We still have to be that strategic thinker, that critical thinker, and that person that's running it. And another thing to really note, especially for project managers, to keep in mind is that a new core competency skill that all companies are adding is, how do you know how to not just be digitally enabled, but are you able to converse with AI technology? And that's going to be a core competency in most companies going forward.
What you're saying, I think, has lots of backing, right? Even Amazon's CEO just this week is on record saying the jobs are going to change because you need to be able to reason and model with these, different tool sets. So that's just wonderful feedback. René's got all of these different, I think, gadgets or kind of pieces to kind of her bat belt, so to speak. But do you have any superpower, project management superpower that you think really stands out, René?
Project manager superpower. Well, first of all, I love my cup. Thank you so much.
I got mine, Matt. I don't know if you have yours today.
I was drinking coffee out of it earlier today, actually. So it's in the kitchen right now.
Yeah. So I would say my superpower has always been and will always stay: be curious. Be curious, play, have fun, stay curious, keep learning.
And dive in, it sounds like, René. I mean, you don't just look at the water and watch it sparkle. You're like, I'm going in there. I'm going to see what it is. I'm going to swim around. I'll come back and let you all know how it is. And thank you so much for being here. It's been a real pleasure to have you on Wear Your Cape to Work. Thank you for sharing your superpowers with us and with the people that you're helping in your life and in your role. We're so glad you could be here with us.
Thank you, Trina. Thank you, Matthew. I'm very excited to be here with you, and I'll be happy to come on here anytime. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today on the Wear Your Cape to Work podcast, hosted by Project Insight. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, follow, or leave us a comment. If you subscribe to our YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or other favorite podcast channels, you'll receive notifications of all of our new episodes. We'd also love it if you would share Wear Your Cape to Work with your network of PMPs or anyone else who might enjoy the show. Project Insight is an online project and portfolio management software that helps companies connect project data from across all of their teams and software tools so that they can make confident decisions about their business. Our website is projectinsight.com, and there you can find many resources for project professionals, including free PDU webinars, as well as a place to register for a demonstration or a consultation with one of our success teams. Thank you once again for joining today's conversation, and most importantly, thanks for wearing your cape to work.